following me around with a smartphone, and he's documenting just throughout my day, Monday and Tuesdays. We're gonna try to create a blueprint for other companies. Not every company, because not everyone's gonna wanna do something like this, but maybe for one day out of the week, they follow you around. Or show up at your office and they just record stuff that you're doing. It's interesting because like we have certain topics that we kind of want to talk through and that kind of stuff as we're on, car rides or Uber rides or walking in the city or whatever it is. But then we're noticing that there's these good, candid, real moments that we're capturing on video. And it's funny because the other day he was like, we were just talking about stuff that was, I think, good content in my eyes, but it was also just like very conversational. And he like stopped the smartphone and he stopped the recorder. And I was like,
why'd you do that? Why'd you turn the camera? Oh.
Sometimes I feel like it's not like the content, like we're just having a conversation, but that's also like part of the content.
Everyone can do this. I could be holding this myself, right? But what we have going on is a dynamic between me and you, where it's like, it creates a conversational aspect of like, wow, these are two people like talking about how they're going about their content and their business and planning, and like this is the behind the scenes stuff I think people want to hear. This is the real stuff.
Yeah.
Funny moment between us, we created a video out of it, and he's like, I feel like we're just kind of like talking. I'm like, we are, you're right, but also like this is some of the best content because we were just behind the scenes. I was just talking about stuff that we're going through or how I think about certain things that you wouldn't normally see in my videos.
Day one, having Brandon follow me around with a camera to record and document my day. Let's get it. This is gonna be terrible in the beginning and we're perfectly fine with it.
Yeah.
All right, let's see keep it recording now, and can you we want to double our content.
Actually, it's triple the amount of video content.
Without losing quality or compromising on quality. I think what I didn't think about is like, how much, break it down to like the tactical level of like, okay, well, how much raw video content do you need on a weekly basis to be able to post? Let's just say I was doing 2 videos a day, Monday through Friday on LinkedIn. So 10 videos a week, and then there'd be obviously 10 videos for TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all that stuff. So we need 10 videos a week. I know it sounds like nothing, some people maybe that sounds like a lot, but to me it's like, doesn't sound out of this world crazy, 10 videos a week, but it is a lot. So to do that, you'd have to reverse engineer and think about how do we get to that place? So we're, a few hours into this whole process, something like that. And I think what we're learning so far, like, look, this whole thing is a learning process. Brandon documenting me throughout my day, trying to film content and provide value to you guys. One of the quick things that we're learning is like, there's just a lot of logistical things that you got to work through. Like we were in the car and it was like bumpy, and so we're trying to figure out angles and lighting, and now we're here off Michigan Avenue in Chicago. You got background noises, you got wind, you just got people going by, you got things that you got to work through. You just got to be comfortable getting uncomfortable. The other thing we're realizing is like, you have to have content ideas ready to go. Like you got to have a list of things that you want to talk about, that you're ready, and that obviously bring value to your audience, your target market or client. Because if you don't have things ready to go, ready to talk about, sometimes it just comes and it's fine. You'll have, like, we've had a couple just in the moment type of stuff that came from stuff that we didn't write down, where I was just started going off on a tangent, and that works. But it's best I think, especially when you're getting going and you're not as comfortable with this like cadence and flow yet, you do need things and topics and ideas to have in your back pocket to be able to pull out. I put them in Trello, which I thought was good, and I think we'll keep them in Trello, but I think you also, on the day that you go out and do stuff like this, you need to put them in a notes app or something that doesn't require the internet, so you can just pull it up with ease, even from your smartphone. We got one podcast episode recorded, second one we're about to do right now with Benny at the Tribune Tower here, and it's going well, right? It's going well. We got some lunch earlier, we're having some fun, and just trying to enjoy the process. Again, we're learning and growing as we go, but a few hours in, not bad. Not bad. So it's like, if we're out shooting on a Monday and Tuesday, we're gonna do most of our videos Monday and Tuesday, where Brandon's following me around with the camera. If we know that, how many pieces of content do we need to get on those Mondays and Tuesdays? What do you think it is, dude? Like, I mean, if we need to do 10 videos a week, like, and you don't want to be playing week to week, right? You don't want to be like behind or like barely, keeping up with that pace.
It also just depends on how much we repurpose into other social media platforms. So
let's say 20 videos a week.
Okay.
Because then let's say you did 10 the next week, and then you'd have 10 left over. And then what if we want a week off, or like me and you were just like, we're gonna take the week off?
Yeah.
We got it. We don't, you know what I mean? We don't. I want to be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
One other thing I'll say about going through this experience, like vlogging your day and documenting and being the content and having someone, follow you around with an iPhone, is you can't like think of it like start and stop. It's like in the beginning, in the last few hours, I think we've been like, all right, start. let's make some content, right? Then you're almost creating content. It has to be that you're documenting, which means you don't really press pause or stop. You just let that camera roll as much as you possibly can. So, and it's gonna be a little bit awkward at first, it just is, like, especially when there's a lot of people around. You have to kind of block that out and just say, hey, keep it running, right? So like some of it's gonna be filler content that we don't end up using, and that's perfectly fine. But you're gonna get those moments and those aha moments and those gems that come out of these natural conversations as you're walking, as you're stopping to talk, as I'm gonna walk away from Brandon, see if he follows me. I'm gonna run from Brandon. No, you just gotta have these natural moments where like, don't turn the camera off. Keep the camera rolling as much as you possibly can. That keeps you in the flow. You gotta get in the flow, you gotta get in the rhythm, you gotta get in the cadence, and you almost have to forget that the camera's on in the first place. Dude, I think this is like, if someone's like, hey, I want to go next level, if they're like, I'm doing talking head videos, maybe you're doing a podcast, whatever you're doing, and you're saying, I want to take my video content to the next level. And I'm not talking like, I'm gonna post from 2 times a week to 4 times a week. I'm talking like, you're gonna go to where no one else is really going, except for like maybe the celebrity level status. You have to have somebody that is basically full-time or minimum half the week following you around, getting video content from you. It's just, I don't see any other way to do it. The only other way I can think about is you could, if you're in your office, right, you could document all the stuff that you're doing, just hit, like literally set up like what you're doing for now, but in your office, set up a smartphone and just turn it on, or multiple smartphones, just turn them on and like film everything that you're doing. But the thing with that is it just gets mundane. Even though the content could be good, the messaging could be good, the value could be good, but if it's just like you sitting in the office the same day, every single day, in the same exact environment, I think it's bad for the audience because it's not mixing it up for them. It's not keeping it sexy and interesting for them, but it's also for the creator. I think that you get in a different place when you get outside in fresh air, or you get in a new setting, or you're meeting people, or you're just on the go. That gives you a different vibe as a creator that you sometimes just don't get in the office. Like energy is a real thing. Like people feed off of energy from other people, from places, environments. So I think you got to keep that in mind when you're creating content. But yeah, I would say if someone has the stomach for this and they want to take on something like this, I think this is a great opportunity to have someone full-time documenting you, filming you, you know, from what you're doing day to day. All this stuff is great, but you got to be willing to make this investment because it takes a lot more work. Trust me, it would have been a lot easier for me to come out here today without Brandon and just like done shit on my computer, my laptop, and like not have to worry about creating or documenting content all day. But to me, I think this is more fun, to be honest. I'm actually, and this is like a weird direction I didn't plan on going, but I'm actually happier now, like hanging out with Brandon and doing this and getting content than I would be just me sitting here by myself waiting for the next meeting or for the next podcast. So yeah, there's a lot of different factors to consider. I think it's something you don't absolutely have to do, but I think just like anything, you get to a certain place, you get good at something, and then it's like, all right, there's another level. And do you want to go there? Does it make sense for you, for your life, for your business? And if it does, here are the options to do it. There may be a point in time where I figure out some other avenue that maybe it's this and something else, or maybe things change. I don't know, but for me right now, I figured out getting, being a guest on a podcast, doing my own podcast, recording content from scratch. That got me very far. It really did, and I'm super grateful for all the content I've done, the experiences I've had, the people I've met, but I just knew that that was only gonna take me here. And if I wanted to go to the next level, I was going to have to invest in something like this and get outside of my comfort zone. So that's what I would say. So let's just say 20 a week. How many do you think we got today? Micro clips? I bet we got close to 20. This is a cool place, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, good job getting some footage. Hell yeah, dude. Benny Matthew. What's up, brother?
What's up, dude?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
This
How you doing?
is Brandon.
Brandon. Nice to meet you, man. Benny.
This is day one employee, man.
Oh,
Just started today.
congrats.
And he's basically doing a lot of this, dude.
Oh,
We're
really?
taking the video content next level.
Nice.
Oh, yeah,
That's
man.
awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Day 2 of Brandon following me around, recording me with a smartphone, documenting me throughout my day, just doing what I'm doing. We call this being the content. And I just want to like reflect on how it's going so far. Brandon's right here, so I'm not talking to myself, although I would talk to myself, and I do talk to myself at times. I think that's very healthy to do. It's not the case right now. I think for me, first of all, this is our second day into it. I think it's going tremendously well so far. I'm very happy with how we're working together and just how it's going. I'm very aware that it's new and we're not going to be great at it right away. I never expected that coming into. I've done enough things and failed enough and made enough mistakes to know that. Like, I think that's the whole
Brandon, what are you doing? You're fired. But I think the one thing that's on my mind right now is how do you balance, Brandon's following me around, we're recording content. I think sometimes I thought like walking around and him recording was gonna be a little bit easier, and you're finding out like it's hard when he's trying to walk and not fall over things and like also not make sure the camera is bouncing crazy. So there's like the technical things you gotta work through that you're like, I just didn't think about that until you started doing it. You're just not gonna know, right? You gotta like take action and figure this stuff out. The other thing that I'm thinking about a lot is how do we balance, like we can have topics here and he can ask me questions, or I can have topics and like start just talking about stuff that's good value and relevant to our audience and our clients, but then it becomes more like we're creating content, which is fine. But the whole point of this was like to document and to be the content and actually capture the behind the scenes and the things that I'm going through throughout the day intentionally so that it's valuable to the audience. So like, what's the balance? Like, how do we get to a point where, I think we're getting there, like some of the conversations that we're having, but how do we get to a point where it's less, okay, let's like prepare questions and make sure, and here's a question, or I got a topic we can talk about, and more just Brandon's just sitting there recording. And I think it's gonna be different when I'm on client meetings now and taking prospecting calls. The last couple of days have just been like creating content and doing the podcast. So, and I intentionally set it up that way so we could have time to do this stuff and figure it out. I didn't want to jam pack our day with meetings. But I think the more stuff that I think now that I'm thinking about this, like the way you solve this is I have to start doing more of the regular shit that I do throughout the day. You know what I mean? Like next Monday, we'll be working with a client all day on Monday. But it's almost like I just need to do more of the stuff I normally do. Like when you get here at 8:30, I've been pushing back my meeting with my team lead D. I've been pushing that meeting back to 7:30. So from 7:30 to 8:30, I meet with D. We go over our client stuff, action items. By the time you get here, I'm free. But I'm like, I should just keep it at 8:30, and then you record my call with D.
Oh, that's not bad.
We'll get 5 to 10 pieces of content just from that.
Yeah.
So I think, as I'm saying this, that's why it's good to talk this stuff through. That was one of the problems that we're trying to solve on day 1.5. Like we're figuring this out pretty quickly, but it's like, how do we make that more documentation and less creating? And I think that's it. You got to have things scheduled. You got to have calls that you're on. You got to have meetings that you're going to. We've had a few podcast episodes and a handful of meetings and stuff, but
yeah.
I just want to be able to spend quality time with you too. Like not have you feel like, oh, like, fuck, I didn't even like get a sentence in because the dude was just doing crazy, So that's it. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
It was good. We had a podcast earlier.
Good one.
Yeah, I was just talking to Alex earlier about that. There's like a father and a son.
Yeah.
So we feel like, or at least I feel like, they meshed well together. They didn't like overlap each other in terms of like how they were talking or cut each other off. So.
Yeah, it's nice. It's like they were both insightful and had things to say too.
Feel free, and I think you are, to ask these questions and challenge certain aspects. And there's going to be certain aspects where I say, yeah, you're right. Like maybe I should rethink that. And there's going to be certain aspects where I go, no, like this is what we need to do and this is why.